Greetings, teachers. Today we are meeting and I'm presenting built in assessment tools with Google Forms. And I would like to invite you for the upcoming trainings that will go more into depth about this particular topic on January 10th as well as January 17th. I am your technology liaison for North Clayton High School. You can either text or call me at the number listed right here on the screen, or you can email me at this particular email. You can also stop by my room 141 on the ninth grade hall, and that's near the teacher lounge. And I have created an additional resource for you to be able to look at videos that I've created in the past and that I'm adding now and in the future at techieteachertips.com. So I want to go straight into today's topic and just kind of see how you feel in general today. So I'm not sure how long ago this was created, but I wanted to wait until I filmed this to see if we can look at the form responses and how they update. So the options within the form were happy, motivated, sad, and tired. So just so see if this could work for you as a teacher when you ask your students specific questions, maybe about how they feel or about a specific assessment question, and this would be an experiment of sorts. Let's see how this works. So within, when your Google form has this particular chart embedded, you see this update icon right here. So we're going to try and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll just have to follow up and see what could be wrong with it, since I was not the creator of this particular form. So let me click on update. And it did. So that means that the form that's attached to this chart is giving you, and let me magnify it, giving you an option when you embed it and you ask your students a question that it will update and you can discuss the answers. This could be a daily, maybe a warm up just to see how they're feeling. Of course, this was a little more pertinent when we were teaching from home. But now that we're in the classroom, you can still have a daily response form, maybe in Canvas or some other resource that you may use to be able to access the link, and students can answer questions. So as you noticed, and I can't go back now, and since no one's going to answer the questions, you won't see the difference. But we started off with a clear pie of tired and 100% green, but now we have, as the 86 responses have come in, we have an update, and this is what the benefit, one of the many benefits of using a Google form could be. All right, so how have you used Google Forms for instruction? Ask yourself that if you've utilized it. We're going to look at some of the other options now that we're accessing Canvas tools as well, and there's an assessment built in, so we're going to have a way to compare and contrast. I know teachers do have a tendency to want to use one type of format, but remember, life is not just one format, so we want to acclimate our students towards being able to use different types of resources just in general, and not to be afraid of using different type of resources. So think to yourself how you've used Google Forms for instruction in the past. If you never have, maybe you want to consider it. Even just looking at the example I showed you on the previous slide, we can look and see if you can use it as a instant check for understanding. And that gave me a major light bulb moment myself when I seen this, and I probably will use that myself for even just that, for instant check for understanding, because once you embed that graph into your Google slide, it will automatically update every time someone makes a response. So you can clear that or change it around day by day. The three objectives that we're looking at today for today's topic are, first of all, we're going to examine the core features of Google Forms, and many of you are familiar with those already, but yay, Google always updates and has different features, and we're going to look at those features that are available to us now. Then second off, we're going to compare how Canvas quizzes and Google Forms differ, just some of the pros and cons or do's and don'ts really briefly. And then I'm going to give you a tool, and that's the third part of today's objective, to give some of the advanced users uh, different tools and forms that you can maybe use to spark minds, even possibly spark your own mind. As I mentioned before, here we have basic features of Google Forms, and I just love this embedded graph of the responses. And I'm going to look forward to using that in the upcoming new semester. We are looking at the different features in terms of question types. The question types within the Google form now gives us the multiple choice, of course, and then you can have constructive responses, longer or shorter versions. You have more than one choice. I'm going to go ahead and go into a example Google Forms. So if you've never used Google Forms before, you can access that as always in your Drive by clicking on the waffle. I always refer back to the waffle. It's accessible in multiple ways, but specifically in Gmail and in your Drive by accessing the Google Apps using the waffle. Let me make that a little bigger. All right, so once you click on the waffle, you can look down to see where the Google Forms are. And here they go. So that's option number one. Or within the drive, you can click on new, where's the plus sign, and you can access a brand new Google form, either already made as a quick quiz from a template that you've used before, or just a blank form. So I'm opening that up, and I always try to make sure to remember in the very beginning to give my form a title so it will not disappear. And I'll title this practice form, and this is December 2022. And if you notice, it automatically gives the title up here as well. So for those that are viewing your form, have a description, and remember right here, the automatically collected emails from the school district make it easier for you to sort some of your responses if you don't remember to ask your participants for first and last name and possibly what period or what block that they're in. All right, so really briefly to look at the question types, we have multiple choice, a grid, we have linear scale, we have drop down, check boxes, multiple choice, and as I mentioned, the short answer or paragraph form. You can also integrate the date and time and checkbox grid. I've done that a few times, but you have to really have an idea on exactly how you want to formulate your question to make sure the participants or the students are understanding exactly what you're asking of them. Okay, let's go back to the slide deck to see exactly what it's asking me to show you. Okay, adding images and videos. Let's go back to my No, that's not it. Practice. There we go. So if you want to embed anything beyond a typed question, here's an option for you to embed either something from your webcam, which if you choose to do that, you are actually creating a video right then and there. You can put something from your Google Drive or even an image that's available on Google. Let's see. And let's see, look for Happy New Year 2023. And it will pull up any type of image from then. Let's just pick that one, insert it, and voila, there we go. It will automatically. So these can be instructions. Instead of you having to retype your instructions, what if you already have instructions for a question that you want to screenshot and embed here? You have your YouTube or add video option. which that makes it very difficult since the district does not have allow students to access YouTube videos, but it's always for me to tell you. You can also pull something from, oh, that, sorry, that's adding a new question. But you can always add something or export something, import a question from a form, a previous form as well. Okay, moving forward, I would like to remind you that it's best to go ahead and break your quizzes up into small chunks. I think students oftentimes ask me how many questions there are in a quiz, and it gives them a sense of security knowing that they don't have that much or knowing how many they have to move forward. But uh, moving into the assessment itself, if it's in a large number of questions all at one time, maybe not separated by categories, it can create a sense of anxiety. Plus, it's a better way to organize when you go back and you revisit some of the questions when you go over your assessment with the students the day after the quiz. And as this slide mentions, that the answers are saved and students can return at any time, which is kind of a two-sided edged blade because I do like to add certain features within my questions where one question will literally answer another question. But that's just, determined on your part. Just remember that when you get to the section where you see this icon right here or this tool right here, to click the equal sign, which will allow for you to create sections. I also remind you to remember to go ahead and adjust your points for each question. And you can always notice what your total points are and how they increase at the little icon in the top right corner where your questions, responses, and settings titles are. And I will show you a little later on how to um, set your default points. All right. That is part of your answer key. Let me go ahead and get into that right now. Uh, if we were meeting in person, I would ask you to go ahead and try playing around with it. And if you're familiar with it, then that may you notice a few different features that Google has incorporated. And let's take a look at that now. Always remember in your settings in the top where the titles are, and let me make these a little bigger for you to see. Within settings, we're going to click settings. Remember to make it a quiz if you want it to be a quiz, and there you go. You'll see your total points immediately. Uh, I would suggest for you to choose the later after manual review when it comes to releasing grades because the grade released immediately can cause a bunch of yays or an uproar if the student didn't do as well, or they'll automatically ask you to retake it. Whatever case is, my choice is to later after manual review, and it automatically turns on your collect email address feature. Or you can, if you just rather prefer of immediately releasing the grades, that's entirely up to you. The locked mode, which is right here, gives you a couple of pluses, which is the student must use a managed Chromebook, and it will keep them from opening other tabs uh, in the midst of the assessment. So, we do have some students that will try to click out and go Google the answer, and the lock mode just keeps them from being able to do that. Look at the other features, including the missed questions, giving them um, the answers they answered incorrectly, as well as what the correct answer is, and that's entirely up to you. You know your students, and you know what will work for you. This right here is the best feature that they've included, whereas in default question point value, which was not there before. So I would suggest, if you know the majority of your questions have a value of 3 or 5 points, let's just say 5, it will automatically adjust itself up here once you go back into the questions, as well as I'd rather, if I have 25 questions and I know maybe the first two would only get 4 points or the last two get more points, maybe one a constructive response, and I want to give more points, it's easier to change one or two versus having to individually set each question point value. So some of these other options right here, you can peruse on your own, and that's what I wanted to share with you in terms of being able to uh, adjust your settings. Some of the other features in responses, or prior to the responses, you can now incorporate audio, which anything from your drive, let me right here. I don't have any audio, but if I did, I would be able to get audio from here. Teachers have asked me in terms of how can I incorporate videos that are not YouTube videos, and this is the beauty of it. Since this district utilizes Canvas Studio, you can utilize Canvas Studio to create your own videos to embed right here, because you're going to upload your video into your Google Drive, and then go ahead, we're able to take that video and embed it into your question in Google Forms. And you can also create videos in Zoom and then upload them right here as well. So I want to make sure that I pointed that out. Let me go back to my presentation. And just remind you that practice makes perfect. We tell our students that all the time. If this is something that you like to utilize, please do. And just play around with it. I play around with it quite a bit. There's so many different features they have right here that weren't there before, even in design, because now you can bold, you can italicize, you can change colors more, you can upload your own templates. And again, this is a review of you utilizing the lock mode. Make sure that you turn on collect email addresses just in case you forget to ask for first and last name, and even being able to use it within that spreadsheet that is created from the responses. Um, and I told you about the default point value. All right. And here's just a review of that. And now let's compare Google Forms and Canvas quizzes. So generally speaking, the features that we have in Canvas quizzes versus Google Forms, all both of them will allow for you to have different types of questions. Now in Canvas quizzes, you are able to utilize fill in the blank, whereas in Google Forms, it's more difficult because even if you ask for a specific answer, it has to be in the right capital, capitalized or lowercase. The spelling has to be accurate for Google Forms to be able to effectively collect answers for fill in the blank. Matching is not available in Google Forms, but it is available in Canvas quizzes. Logic branching is something that I am about to go over with you in a few minutes, and that's not available in Canvas quizzes, but it is something that's featured in Google Forms. And the same for Lock Quiz is not available in Canvas quizzes, but it is available in Google Forms, and I just showed you that in the previous segment. So take a look at that just so you can think about what type of assessment you would use in either Canvas quizzes versus in Google Forms. So advance our design of quizzes using more tools and forms. And I was so excited when I first had access to this resource, and I would love to share this with you. So, the best part is logic. We're looking at logic thinking or logic. I guess students have to have been able to have choices and logically choose what the outcome would be if you go take the left or the right in this case, or anything to that nature. So, logic thinking is a form of differentiation. So, just always remember that you, first of all, need to use the multiple choice option. Second of all, you need to make sure that you have separate sections for this to work. Third of all, you have to turn on required the answer to for it to actually work. And then you have to make sure that you go to section based on the answer. So let me show you a an example that I've linked into the resources. Here we go for December. Let me go down. December. I have not finished the video, so of course uh, this hasn't been highlighted, but choose your own the actual template. All right. I need to make sure if I have that wording accurate for you to understand that. So let's try it. How about that? So you can get an understanding what I'm referring to. So Google Slide, choose your own adventure. This is something I'm going to provide to you where you can use the template, and it's right here. You can use the template and change what you need to change to work for you. So this one in particular is set in my name, and let's just look. There's a scenario in terms of a girl from a water tribe, and there's a background story. And as you are exploring this on your own, you can see that each question gives you a choice of where the student can, or you being a student today, can choose which scenario you would like to go to. A girl was living with her tribe in the terrestrial South Pole. Her job is to help the women care for the tribe children and her grandmother. One morning, as she is caring for her grandmother, her brother asks if she can help him fish. So you can either choose to go fishing or stay with her grandmother. The last time I played this, I went to go fishing. So today I'm going to stay with my grandmother and go next. And then, of course, the scene and the option is different than if you would have gone fishing with your brother. So you just choose and it walks you through the different options of the outcome. So this is great for possibly math problems to see what would happen if you make different choices, and if they're, it can be a dead end and then you have to go back and revisit that question. If it's for science, going through like a project or a lab, and it'll give you different choices. And the same with language arts, or even with social studies, you can create scenarios that would have different outcomes, allowing students to utilize their thinking skills and analytical skills, and even pulling on prior knowledge. So here's the template. I've taken this template link so you can make your own and just delete everything um, that you need to delete that does not infringe on the copyright right here. So make your choices of what you need to change, and use the template. So I made that available for you. So another thing is, now this is something that you can do for yourself, or you can actually include your students in creating these stories, and there's an outline. So this is a simple branching scenario outline where you have options for section 1 and section 2, and you're creating a question, and then you are choosing what those choices would lead up to. So this is just an idea, and of course it's case by case specific, but it's giving you an idea on what we've used to do on paper that we can now do using Google Forms. So this is just a very simple, brief. Oh, my apologies. Let me go back. Simple, brief example. And then here is the actual digital version of it, which I'm giving you access to utilize on your own. So let me see if this is going to work. So this is one. Let me go back. Google Slide, choose your own adventure. So you can make your adjustments as you see fit to give your ideas to the class, and you can discuss on how you're going to move forward, or you can use it as a template to give you an idea on how you're going to move forward. And once you fill this in, it's very simple for you to copy and paste it into your sections yourself. That makes sense? Great. So now you know how to utilize these different resources. Once more, I have made these resources, my apologies, available in our faculty access to technology for this year, where you can either access the template itself, see how it works, so you can choose your own form the way I showed you, and the form itself. And I'm going to link the video, of course, right here. Don't forget to sign in for your December training. I didn't mention that in November. So every month you're responsible for signing in and signing off on um, either attending or watching the video. We're going to move forward, and hopefully we'll be able to do this in person in the upcoming days and months. All right, let me make sure that I haven't forgotten anything this last month's. Here are the examples of creating the outline. Do it on paper or do it using the template I've provided. And here are the instructions. Now, how might you use forms for instruction? Think about the very basic, simplified examples I showed you. How might you use forms for instruction? Are you going to use it for an assessment? Are you going to use it for an activity? How are you going to use it to make your students more engaged and are more given more opportunities to increase their engagement with either you, each other, or even just individually by themselves? You're able to give feedback immediately using Google Forms. This slide is just a quick reminder for you to get Google certified. I mentioned that I'm in the midst of recertifying my educator level 1 certification. If you're familiar with it, it is um, valid for 3 years. The cost is $10 for level 1, and the training itself, if you're familiar with it, I would say it would take a day or two of dedicated time here and there. And the assessment gives you 180 minutes, but I don't think that it would just take that long. If you're familiar, if you're not familiar with it, feel free to reach out to me for any resources, or we can go through the process together as a team, since I am recertifying on level 1, and then we'll move forward to recertify on level 2, which is exciting because that means I've been using Google tools for over 3 years effectively, and utilizing my Google Trainer certification at a maximum. A reminder that the upcoming trainings for this particular topic are January 10th and January 17th. I will include this slide deck as well. I haven't done that yet, but I will input this link of this slide deck in our North Clayton High School faculty access to technology resources. You can see more videos at techieteachertips.com, or you can email me, text and call me, or stop by my room 141 on the ninth grade hall. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to being able to serve you as your technology liaison in the near future.